Hey guys, in today's video, let's take a look at a fun experiment here in Maya. So I'm going to show you where you can download this free rig. And once you download it, we can go through the basics of setting up the scene and also creating a custom keyframe animation. So to download the rig, head over to animationmentor.com, and I'm not affiliated with this website, so I'm not doing a plug for them or anything, but I did see that they have a free character section, and I thought it would be so fun to download one and just play around with it, right? Just casually try it out. So if you go to their website and go to the rigs section, in the rigs section, you'll see something called free Maya rigs. Now, if you click on that, you can see that there are two characters that are available. One of them is named Squirrels, the other one is named Steward, and I downloaded both of them, but for today, let's just try to download this one. And let's just take a look and see how it works, and if we can just have a little fun learning some of the basics. All right, so once you download the character and open it up in Maya, you should see something very similar to what I'm seeing. And if you don't have the colors, just click on this button right here called Textures, right? That's gonna activate this nice, beautiful orange color. And let's just talk about some of the basic things that you might need to know for animation. So one of the first things I would like to do is I'm going to turn on my grid and make sure that I have a floor. And maybe let's decide what we want to do. I think we should just do something as simple as just getting this guy jumping, right? And you know what, just for fun, if we wanted to have him jump, maybe it would be fun to bring a prop and just even grab something as simple as a torus here and just have the guy jump right through it. Let's go ahead and create one. I think that would be a lot of fun. And let me go to my attribute editor and let's just figure out if we want to maybe adjust this a little more, right? We'll do something like this. I think that's pretty perfect. I can change the size, and of course I can also change the, let's do this, this section radius, right? I want to be something like that. I think that's awesome. If we wanted to make it a little more dangerous, why am I doing this? Just for fun, just totally for fun. Let's just also select all of these edges and let's click on the extrude button and keep faces together. I'm gonna set that to off. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull these out and let's just create kind of a sharp point. So I'm gonna click on this box here and I'm just gonna bring these in and make this tip really, really sharp. I think that is kind of cool. And now let's go ahead and put this into position. So holding down the J key, I'm gonna rotate this 90 degrees, and I can see it's 90 because in the bottom left it says 90 degrees. Let's just put this into, let's put this in the middle. So I'm gonna go to my channel box. I'm gonna grab my all the translation values, press 0, and now voila, now it's nice and centered. Let's go ahead and decide how high we want our little squirrel to jump, maybe something like that. And again, just something to look at, right? All right, very cool. Now we have something like this. Next, I'm gonna grab the squirrel, and you can see a bunch of controllers, right? Let's talk about the very basic understanding of some of this stuff. You have all these controllers. Normally, when you download a rig, the bottom controller, or the one that's on the ground, is gonna be called the root controller. And if I select this and you look in the channel box, you can actually see it's called root controller, right? So that's there. You can also see there's a few different options you can do. You have the body resolution. If you want to increase the resolution of this, maybe you're actually rendering out a short afterwards, you could do that. You have the tail on off, right? If I select this and middle mouse drag left and right, I can actually toggle this on and off. I think I'm gonna leave my tail on. And let's see what else we got. So we have squash and stretch. That's fun, right? That means this character by default is gonna have the squash ability, which is amazing, right? That's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll leave that on, and let's see what else we got. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now you can look at the tail and see that there's all these different controllers for the tail, and obviously all of these are just gonna, if I press E, you can see that it's just simply gonna rotate it and we can control it. This is gonna be the main controller for the entire tail, right, with all of these. So that's really cool. And this one down here, this one is called bottom controller, right? So we know that's going to be the bottom one. And the reason I think they created that is because when the squirrel is sitting on the ground, you don't want him to have kind of a round belly. So this is going to allow you to create kind of a flat feeling, right? So if I press W and pull this down, you can see that this is going to create more of a round shape, which is going to be important for us when he's in the air, right? All right, awesome. Now let's jump into animation. I'm going to select this controller here, press W, and let's move it to the right of our dangerous ring here with the, maybe it's knives, I don't know. Actually, now I'm looking at it. As a modeler, I think I can make it better. Let's just do something like that. I'm going to press extrude, and it feels like we need something more. There you go. That's a little bit better. All right, so that's looking a little more interesting. All right, visualize in your mind that this thing is actually on fire, and our little squirrel is going to attempt to jump through this dangerous ring. And you know what? I can actually maybe move it a little bit higher. All right, awesome. Now, one of the first things you need to know is when you're creating an animation, usually you have to obviously decide what is it for. Are you making it for a game, or are you making it like a short film? If it's a short film, you usually want to change your frames per second to 24. Featured film and shorts are usually 24 frames per second. If you are doing video games and you're importing this into Unity or Unreal, you would want to do 30 frames or 60 frames, right? But because we are going to do a little short, let's do 24. Now the timeline is currently by default is set to 80. I don't want it to be this long. Let's go ahead and switch this to 24 for now. And that's going to be 1 second, right? 24 frames per second. It's going to be a little easier to manage. All right, very nice. What else can we do? So the very first step for this is going to be, let's select all the controllers. Let's go to frame 0 and let's just press S. Now when I say S, right, what that's going to do is it's going to create this red line, and it's going to set a key on all of these controllers. And you know that it's set a key because if you look at the channel box, you can see the translate X, Y, Z, all of these, right, now have this red line indicating that keyframe has been selected for each channel, right? So that's important to understand. Once we've done that, once we set our keys, let's go ahead and start kind of blocking this out, right? So the first thing you want to do is let's grab the ground controller or the root controller, and let's just decide how this is going to play out. So I think for the first few seconds, he should kind of charge up with anticipation, right? I think that would make sense. Let's go to like frame 4. Let's set a key on the root controller. So I'm going to press S. And you know what? I'm actually going to set on everything except the tail. So be very careful. Leave the tail alone. And the reason for that is because I think what we should do is we should just focus on the jump of the body first, and then we'll go back and adjust the tail. Because I think if we're going to deal with all these controllers, that's going to be a little too confusing at first. So I'm a big fan of simplifying things, and I think we should do this in sections. So for now, completely forget about the tail, and I'm going to press S. And now if I select each one individually, you can see there's a red line on each one. Right? Now, if I select any of the controllers on the tail, you can see that nothing has been selected. So that's really important. All right. Just some basic stuff. All right. Now, since we have this, let's build some anticipation by grabbing this head controller. And I guess it's called shoulder controller. All right, fine. We're going to grab the shoulder controller. And I'm going to press W on my keyboard. And I'm just going to squish him down to create some anticipation. So he's charging up for his jump. All right. And maybe he's kind of, you know what, he's going to lean forward a little bit too. Now, if we want to preview this, we go from 0, he's charging up, and then right about here, maybe he starts to take off, right? Now, as he starts to take off, I'm going to do something like this, like a snail. He's going to stretch out. But I want to make sure two things, right? One, make sure you turn this button on. You want to have auto keyframe toggle on. Now what that's going to do is every single time you move a controller, by default it's going to set a key. So this way you don't have to press S every time you move something, and that's important, so make sure that's on. And another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select, in addition to the shoulder controller, I'm also going to grab this ground controller and set a key as well, because I don't want him leaving the ground anytime up until 6, right? So now I got 0, charge up, start to take off. Very cool. All right, I think about frame 8, we can start lifting him into the air. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna grab this, I'm gonna press S, and I'm going to start moving him towards his destination. And when I'm moving this, keep in mind, if you look closely, you'll see that there's a green arrow for indicating Y axis, and then you have the blue one indicating Z. You don't want to touch the red one, so you don't want to grab this guy or this one. You want to make sure you're staying in the YZ orientation, right? So when I'm moving this around, I want to make sure it's kind of a, you know, it's not going to move left and right. So for that reason, be very careful moving this gizmo around by just using the Z and Y orientation. So I'm going to get him into position, and now I'm going to let's go ahead and maybe add a little movement to this guy as well. So I'm going to press S on 8. I'm going to go to actually 6, press S as well. So I'm going to set like a starting point for this bottom controller. All right, let's go to 8. And now we can actually do something like this, right? So the bottom of his tush is going to be kind of stretched out a little bit. And again, I'm going to ignore the tail, and let's think about anything else we want to move. I think it's fine. I'm not going to worry about this guy. This is going to be his curvature controller. I think that's pretty good. I mean, if you want, you can move it a little bit, but not. I'm kind of looking for this straight back shot. All right, let's review our animation by just scrubbing. So we got 0, charging, and then jumping. Okay, very cool. Now next at about 10, I think let's go ahead and have him go through, right? So I'm gonna grab this again, press S, press W. I'm gonna move this through. And when he is at this point right here, I want to make sure that all of this is kind of squished back in. So I'm going to grab his shoulder controller and bring it down like this. And if I want, I can put this back a little more. And, you know, we can also grab this ground controller, maybe move him a little bit higher up. Let's adjust this one here. By the way, you saw me just accidentally select the ring. If you don't want to do that, just uncheck this button up here, select surface objects. If you uncheck that, then that's going to make sure that you don't select any of the meshes. All right, very cool. Now this is going to be his kind of apex middle point, highest point, right? So if I select my ground controller, I can review and see. I just like to keep reviewing it to make sure I like incrementally how it's looking, right? So he's got through, and then right here he's kind of starts to descend, right? So I'm gonna go to 13, press S, and let's kind of start doing this. And maybe for the head at this point I can do something like this, right? Because he just passed that point. The bottom controller is going to be probably forward, right? Because now he's got his body is kind of moving forward. I'm going to keep saying it, ignore the ugly tail. That's fine. And now we have something like this. All right. And then right here, he really starts to, the gravity really starts to kick in. And so I want to plop him down kind of fast. So at 16, I'm going to select my ground controller, press S. And let's just plop him down all the way down on the ground. Now it's hard to see, right? So I'm going to press spacebar, go into my side view. And now in the side view, I can see where the line is, which is right here, right? So let's say I want to do something like this. I can adjust this here as well. I can make sure he's on the ground. And let's go back into the perspective view and take a look. Very cool. And let's decide what happens with his shoulder controller. Maybe it just, you know, maybe it's kind of at this level. It's kind of starting to get into position, right? So now we got something like this. And you know what? Actually, at this point here, I think the head controller should be really stretched out. I think that makes sense, right? Like this. And then he kind of, at 18, let's go ahead and press S again on the ground, grab our shoulders, and just boom, he's back in. And maybe he goes forward a little bit, right? From the momentum. So now both of these are gonna be like this, right? So you got boom. And sound effects are a bonus if you can do them. So just go, all right, I like that. And then right here, he kind of starts to wobble back into place. So maybe on 20, let's go ahead and select this, press S. Grab this, press S, and maybe he starts to kind of wobble back into position. And then let's see, maybe he goes back a little more, just one more time. And then on 24, I'm gonna press S on the shoulders, and then he kind of just settles in. Click on the root controller, press S, and let's take a look. All right, now let's play our awesome animation. Very cool. So at this point, it's just going through and adjusting the timing, and we haven't even talked about the graph editor yet, but just using the auto tangents and keyframes on this timeline, we created something super cool and super simple. Now, before we sneak a peek at the graph editor and see if we can make some adjustments there just for fun, let's maybe do a little more work on the tail as well, right? So on the tail, let's go back to 0 and let's talk about this. Now, just for fun, you know, if you watch behind the scenes of any good animator, they always do their research and try to study how the animals move. Let's just for fun pull up a jumping squirrel video. So here's a seemingly good one. This one is called Squirrel Jumps Super Slow, right? Let's do our research and see what's happening here. All right, so this guy is gonna apparently jump from this stick to that stick. He's gonna charge up, just like our guy is. See, he's looking down, then this is interesting. He went down, right? And he's about to jump, and you can see his tail kind of straighten out. And then let's see what happens next. And then as he jumps up, the tail is gonna kind of go from being on the floor, or you know, below the body. It looks like it's gonna kind of swing up a little bit. That's interesting. All right, cool. So he's actually using some of this tail to help him gain some of that height. All right, and then as he's flying through the apex, or the highest point, the tail is pretty much almost straight. Fascinating. And then he grabs the other stick, and then the tail comes up. All right, so this is interesting. Let's see if we can kind of use this as our reference. All right, so I'm gonna go to the initial controller of my tail, and let's go ahead and select it and see what we got here. So far we only set it on keyframe 0, right? So as he charges up, if you remember, the tail went down, right? So I'm gonna press, I kind of lost the controller. It's right there. Okay, so he's gonna charge up. I'm gonna press S. Let's go ahead and rotate this down just like the video, something like that. All right, and then when he goes, when he starts to fly towards the ring, right? I'm gonna press S, and I'm gonna attempt to straighten this tail a little bit. So let's go ahead and do something like this, and let's just start straightening out this tail a little more, right? So I guess you can even go to the channel box and just zero this out. So let's select this and do this. We'll set this one to 0 as well. And let's go ahead and do the last one. All right, very nice. So now we have a straight tail, right? And if holding on the shift key, if I select all of these, all of them, right? I can press S and make sure that they're all keyed, which means if I come back here, all right, so check this out. He comes down with anticipation, the tail starts to lower itself, and then as he jumps up, the tail straightens. But to be honest with you, I would actually like the tail to be kind of still curly right here. How do I do that? So what I need to do is I can select this little controller, right click, and let me say select hierarchy. That's going to select all of these. I'm going to right click and say copy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and I'm going to go to frame 4 and I'm going to say paste. Okay, so I just pasted the rotation values of all of these. And now what's going to happen is he's going to lower his tail and then it's going to start straightening out as he jumps up. Okay, and then right here, I actually wouldn't mind getting it back into the curl position. So I'm going to right click and do another paste. And then let's go ahead and all right, so let's see what we got. So I'm just going to keep starting from the beginning. He charges up, tail comes down, he flies, and right here, I'm not liking this bend. You're probably not going to see it during the animation, but oh, there you go. Oh, cool. Okay, I didn't realize there's a little controller for that as well. All right, cool. So now it's straight. Very nice. So he comes up, he goes through the thing, then the tail starts to curl back in, and then right here, I think the tail should, as he comes down, the tail can be straightened out again, right? So let's select this controller here. I'm going to right click, I'm going to say select hierarchy, so it's going to select all of these. And right here on 14, I'm going to press S to set the keys for each one. And now I want to manually kind of straighten these out. So what I would like to do is just kind of alright, so it's nice and straight. And now when he comes back down right here, I think the tail can kind of come back to the way it was initially, right? So let's go to 17. Let's select everything again, select hierarchy. I'm going to do a paste. And I'm going to go to 24. I'm going to do another paste. And on 20, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just simply take this here. I'm going to press S, press E, and let me just make a little movement here, right? Just so it kind of settles into place. All right, let's review our animation. Very cool. So at this point, of course, you can make it better and better. I'm just kind of doing it somewhat quickly, but you get the idea, right? Now, one thing that we haven't talked about, this is I'm super simplifying the entire process tremendously. And actually, you know what? If I'm review it very slowly, you can see that at some point, the tail right here is going through the thing, right? All right, let me review this. There you go, that's better. I want to make sure that the tail didn't go through the ring. All right, very cool. So again, I'm super simplifying everything, but check this out. If you go into Workspace and go into something called Animation Workspace, this is going to give you a graph preview of every single controller. And this is great because you can go in and review and see if you need to clean anything up. So for example, if I set up my, if I select my root controller, I can review my curves, and I can see any area that needs cleanup. So for example, right here, you can see that this curve right here doesn't look very smooth, right? There's actually this strange transition between kind of a curve here and then a straight line there. So normally what you want to do is you want to clean this up. And, you know, clean this up, there's different ways of doing it. You can do it using these tangents here. Or if you want to do it manually, you can just select a key like this, and then you can see there's like these two left and the right arms. Then you can select one and then middle mouse drag and kind of adjust it and kind of straighten out any issues, right? You could do that. You can also just simply use the tangent. So spline tangent, if I click on that, you can see that's gonna automatically smooth my line. Think of spline as literally the word smooth. So it's like smooth is spline, okay? So I can select this one and I can do a spline on that. You can see how it's adjusting it to create a beautiful curve, right? So you might want to go through and clean that up. Or, you know, another way you could do it is just, if you're confident, you can select all of these and just spline them all at once. And that's gonna kind of clean this up automatically for you. If I select the shoulder controller, I can see if there's any issues there. This looks pretty smooth. I don't see any sharp, weird angles or anything strange, right? We can review our tail, for example, and so on, right? You can see how you have a lot of control over each one. So right here, for example, this looks a little strange. So I can maybe grab this and I can spline that. And, you know, then you have to review and make sure that nothing, you know, actually broke. So check this out. If I preview it, I can see that it's nice and liquidy and smooth and clean. So the graph controller is very powerful because it's going to allow you to adjust your timing and also make really high quality animation without any kind of jerkiness or anything weird. All right, so I had a lot of fun. This animation is so much fun. I think I'm gonna do more of these kind of experimental videos on my channel because it's breathing life into characters after you create them in ZBrush or Maya. To me, is the ultimate. I think it's so much fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did in the comments below. If you didn't subscribe yet, please subscribe and like this video. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next one.